Hey guys, come see me do live stand-up comedy. Houston, yes, I am back. I'm so excited. The J Mohr Sports crew and the podcast crew of More Stories, we're all making the trip to Houston Improv, Houston, Texas, November 4th. That's a Monday. That's right, Monday. I'm going to do stand-up on a Monday. I don't give a shit. I don't need a weekend. I'll fill it on a Monday with your help. And also November 5th, Houston Improv. That's a Tuesday. Monday, November 4th, I'm at the Houston Improv. Tuesday, November 5th, I'm at the Houston Improv. Come see me also, if you wish, at the Brea Improv, November 22nd. I really hope to see you guys out there. Love meeting you guys, shaking your hands. I got a lot of new material, and as always, all my shows are meet and greets. Thanks. See you there.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man!
Duff McKagen, back in the house. Second time on More Stories. You're the first.
What gives?
Well, you're cool, and you were fun, and we had a great conversation, and I had to, totally pick your brain about the punk scene in Seattle and all things Guns N' Roses and the destruction of all things that happened and all that, and the rebuilding up to Walking Papers, which is up and running now and is a good thing and living.
Yes.
And then you and I were texting back and forth, and it's like, well, now let's just come back and just talk and have a good time.
Yeah.
And only really comics ever come back 2, 3, 4 times because we break balls. And
I've got a couple jokes.
I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah. Really?
Sure.
Right now?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to
start. Not yet?
Duff's taking off his jacket.
There, I can. This,
Whatever you want to say.
what do you don't call it, you call him a small person, lady, right?
A midget.
Okay. Lady, she went to the doctor and she said, doctor, every time it rains, my pussy really hurts. Is that okay? I say pussy?
Yeah, of course.
And he goes, whoa, that's interesting. It's not raining right now. Is your pussy hurting? And she goes, no, but I thought maybe you could take a look and down there and see what's going on. He goes, okay, well, lift your little skirt and I'll have a look. And he gets down and he looks and he goes, yeah, I can't find anything wrong. Tell you what, why don't you come back when it rains next, if your pussy's hurting, and I'll clear it with the receptionist. You can just come straight back and we'll see what's going on. So lo and behold, a week later, it's pouring and her pussy's killing her, and she gets in her little car and drives down to the doctor's office, and the receptionist sees her and says, oh yeah, come straight back. And she goes back to the examining room. The doctor comes rushing in. He goes, okay, so doctor, it's pouring and my pussy's killing me. He goes, okay, well, take off she had a little jacket on, it's raining out. Yeah. Take off your jacket and lift up your skirt, and I'll see what's going on. And he looks down there, and oh yeah, he says, and he stands back up and he reaches over and he grabs a scalpel. And she goes, doctor, is this going to hurt? And he said, no, it shouldn't hurt at all. And he goes back down there for about 1 or 2 minutes. And he's doing something, and he comes back up, and she goes, doctor, it's amazing. My pussy doesn't hurt at all. What did you do? He goes, I just took a couple inches off the top of your boots. Her rain boots.
Yep. Walking Papers, October 17th at the Roxy. Duff McKagen. I like how you go, can I say little person, midget? And you're like, her fucking pussy hurts. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he used the scalpel to take her little boots and make them littler.
Yeah.
She wasn't a smart little person.
Well, she just put on her rain boots, wasn't thinking.
She wasn't thinking at all.
Yeah.
I like you telling jokes. This is good. This is the light-hearted Duff. We're used to people go back, if you look at old Guns N' Roses stuff, you're sometimes you're a zombie out there, and other times you're like angry Duff. Other times you're...
That was 20 years ago.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when people have opinions about me. It's from 20 years ago, too. But I think
on this Uproar tour that we just did, and Alice in Chains was headlining, Jane's Addiction, your guys, Bunch of bands were on the festival. Every day we were traveling together, but we had NFL football season for Sunday coming up, and every bus has DirecTV, and our bus has the package, NFL package, and Jerry Cantrell's bus, the guitar player from Alice in Chains, has the package. But my bus, nobody watches football at all.
Nobody from Walking Papers?
It's kind of un-American, but you know,
everybody from Screaming Trees are nerds. They're like, you got any 12-sided die I could roll?
And we're
here?
all Seattle guys, so you think, well, you know, even if
Seahawks.
you're not a football
12th man, let's get after it. They can hear you hollering all the way from Austin, Texas.
Yeah. They're true artists. They're just artists and no football. And I'm like, really? None?
No.
And but they were, you know, I could have watched on my bus. They were behind me watching football.
Did you switch buses to
so
watch?
So Cantrell's like, dude, why don't you just ride with me the night before, and we'll get coffee and we'll be good. We'll wake up and we'll make coffee and 10 o'clock game, Seahawks. And so, okay, I did that. And so I rode overnight with Jerry, and it was like 9:45. And we were in, where were we at?
West Coast.
It was a West Coast.
So the 10 a.m. start time, which is the godsend of living on the West Coast.
Wow, you put that all together.
Yeah,
we were on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And I remembered that Perry was an NFL zealot.
Perry is?
Big time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He will amaze you with stats and like new like rulings that. What was that thing? Some weird.
Joe Klecko had 21 sacks for the Jets, and he was second on his team to Mark Gastineau, who had 22 and a half.
He's a Jets. He is a Jets.
He is. Of course he is.
Yeah.
That's why we're brothers, I guess.
So that's his team, and so I texted him or went and grabbed him from his bus, whatever, and I said, "You want to watch football with us?" So it was like, speaking of 20 years ago, where probably the three of us were 20 years ago.
Still awake
Independent,
at 9:45.
Easily, yeah. And now we're all watching. And Jerry hadn't been around Perry in a football scenario. And, you know, you just think of Perry's like this kind of fancy, you know, he's Perry Farrell.
Yeah, like a sprite from the woods. He just comes down and has fancy tea.
Yeah, and he goes out and sings, and he's a monster on stage, and then he goes back to wherever he comes from.
Yeah.
But he's a regular guy, and Jerry was kind of, his mouth was a bit agape.
I like thinking of you and Jerry Cantrell in the back of a bus sharing that weird one bed in your little pajamas.
Yeah.
Seahawk pajamas, the two of you.
We didn't wear pajamas.
Kurt Warner, Ring of Honor. No Kurt Warner jerseys. The real Kurt Warner, not the quarterback.
Yeah.
Kurt with a C, the running back for the Seahawks. Ring of Honor, baby.
Yeah.
Kingdom. I know what's up.
You do?
Hell yeah.
You were in Seattle. I saw you were.
No, I was never in Seattle.
You weren't?
Never been in my life.
No. But weren't you over the summer? Didn't you go up there for something?
I drove. No, I was in Spokane.
Oh.
And I sold about 500 tickets in a 2,000-seat theater. And I said, well, I guess I'll never come here again. And the promoter goes, oh, no. But he said it to my face. So it was like, I was relieved. Like, it's just the guy was that honest. Like, oh, no, we just lost our shirts. Yeah, you won't be back.
Wow.
Like, it made me happy. So then I went out there like, well, I'm never coming back here again. I had like a loosey-goosey set. So Walking Papers, you guys are out. And it's got to be weird for you to be at like Uproar and Walking Papers. Is it? You mentioned Deja Vu before we came on the mic. Are there just some cities where you're like, what is going on? I'm in this new band, Walking Papers debut. I'm pushing an album.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't probably where you envisioned yourself when you left GNR and Velvet Revolver. You probably thought, may I guess what you thought it would be? Duff McKagen, just singer-songwriter, acoustic guitar.
Is that what you thought?
No, I was trying to think of the most absurd place for you to be.
That would be absurd, yeah.
There's a few songs off Nebraska, everybody.
No, and this is, in all honesty, I learned somewhere back, even when I was playing in punk rock bands, like, don't ever assume where you're going to be or try to get someplace in your quote-unquote career. Just do the next thing that's coming to you, whether it's the next song or the next gig or whatever. And that's really, I must have learned it the hard way because it stuck. And even in between Guns and Velvet Revolver, I went back to school. I'm like, okay, I guess this is where I'm supposed to be right now.
Did you go to Fame?
I went to Seattle U.
Seattle U.
The business
That's
school.
badass. Because you would have fit in at Fame. You sing, you play the drums, and the people don't know you're a drummer also.
Yeah.
You play the bass.
I should have went to Fame.
You and Coco and Leroy could have hung out.
Yeah, I don't know if they have a business school at Fame.
So you went to business school at Seattle?
Seattle U, yeah.
You never stop surprising people with your choices. I'm being serious.
Go Red Hawks.
Seattle University Redhawks. And
Elton
did you get your
Baylor.
degree?
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So is this a degree you want to use post rock and roll?
Well,
or
here
do
was
you use
the
it in your
deal.
everyday life when you're doing contracts and promotions and stuff like that?
That's it. And I didn't, even going to school, I didn't set forth going to school thinking I could use this stuff in my music career doing contracts later on. I woke up at 30, out of a stupor, and I'd made some money. I didn't know what a stock or a bond was. And what I found out going through school, I didn't know what risk meant. It was like, risk, fuck you, I came from the other side of the tracks,
Yeah.
right? And so I went to school because I didn't trust anybody either. And I kind of just, put everything in a bank account and went to school to figure out investing just on a personal level and what money was, how it works. Because you read all the stories about guys who end up made a bunch of money and they're 40 and they're broke.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be one of those guys.
Well, I don't think it's well, I don't, knock on wood, but how'd you like to be a stoner going to Seattle University and the guy in the desk next to you is fucking Duff from Velvet Revolver, like, huh? You fail the class just because you can't look at the teacher? Your teacher could have her tits out and you wouldn't pay attention to anything they were teaching you because Duff is next to you.
Yeah, it was a tough...
Because you look like a rock and roller. I mean, you're like... you walk the walk, you talk the talk, but when you walk into a room, it's like there's really no other job for Duff on appearance. And by the way, the listeners need to know you're absolutely fucking shredded. Like, what are you doing? Diamond push-ups on the road in the tour bus? You got some incline?
Rip out.
No, but are you a workout guy? Because you got like huge arms.
Yeah. I'm a workout guy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want to do some incline now? We'll take a little break. No.
Yeah. We worked on the road on this past trip, just to give you an idea of what we do. So we played they call them sheds. So like Irvine Meadows or this is nationwide, Jones Beach, Darien Lakes, what used to be called Pine Knob, the Gorge, all these big
These are
outdoor
all places I've seen like my favorite shows. It's amazing.
Right. So you know the venues, right? And you know the parking lots that are outside. So that's where the buses pull up. So we got weights on the bus and we got our tennis shoes and shorts. That's all you need. It's summer. It's 105 degrees outside. And you got water. And so we run lines in the parking lots, do a ton of push-ups, do like curls, shoulder stuff, and
who in
lunges.
Walking Papers is your like workout partner?
Jeff and Ben. Every day.
It says in Walking Papers, when you look at the band, the liner notes of the album, your manager gave it to me when he came to see me down in Irvine. Super cool.
Oh yeah, John, yeah, that's right.
It was great, and I love the album. I still love the album. Jeff is, of course, from Missionary Position, lead singer. But then I noticed he's credited as lead singer. But then Benjamin Anderson and Barrett Martin and Duff, you guys are all credited with backing vocals. You all share that credit. So my question to you, being a businessman, why not squeeze Jeff out?
Squeeze him out.
Yeah, if you're all doing backing vocals, you obviously don't need the lead vocal guy. And then as a business major, you can split the money. It's Treasure of the Sierra Madre, really. There's three guys. How did we divide the money?
I didn't think of that.
Well, that's what
Thanks.
I'm here for, Duff McKagen. At Duff McKagen on Twitter.
I must have missed that class at business school.
How to squeeze out your lead singer.
There's already three singers.
Yeah. There's already three guys harmonizing. And just squeeze Jeff out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll think about that. Thanks for that, Jay.
Anybody that wants to go to jmohr.com and click the Amazon banner, Duff, I think this will impress you. People go to jmohr.com, and our biggest sponsor for the 2 years we've been doing this has been Amazon. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, and you want to buy a guitar, probably they give them to you for free. That's a stupid suggestion. Anything you want to buy something for your wife, or even just a gift card, if you want to buy an Amazon gift certificate, go to jmohr.com. and click the Amazon banner, and then we get a kickback from Amazon. So that's a nice little business setup that Seattle University taught me, the Red Hawks, straight up.
So what you're saying, if everybody who listens right now goes and buys my book at Amazon.com,
What's your book? What is this?
you'd be able to keep this palatial mansion.
I call it a compound.
Compound.
Yeah. I'm putting in a moat as soon as I'm done with this.
Maddie, we could keep him in
He's my Cato Kalin. He lives in the back. And
Longhorn hats.
He picks up the lawn trimmings.
Keep him in Longhorn hats.
Longhorn hats? Yeah, he's repping Austin. He's got the Longhorn hat on.
Poor guy's trying to get sleeved. He's just got a couple lines on his
I need to work on my tats, too.
So what's your book, Duff? I didn't know you had a book. First of all, you got to buy the Walking Papers CD.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to pimp my book. It came out a couple years ago.
I didn't know you had a book.
Yeah, I write for the Seattle Weekly.
I knew.
Yeah, and it was just other stories that weren't right for the Seattle Weekly, and that I was writing as I started writing a ton, and became sort of this story of how a guy like me, basically just a normal dude, liked playing music, got from not being a complete alcoholic to being an alcoholic, what that was like, and then my way out of that thing.
What's the name of your book?
It's called It's So Easy and Other Lies.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny you say it's so easy. Go buy Duff's book. Click the Amazon banner at jmohr.com. I've been told you're supposed to clear your cookies. I don't know what that means, but clear your cookies. And instead of having an Amazon, what do you call this, bookmark on your toolbar, you can have a jmohr.com bookmark. Anytime you want to go to Amazon, just go to my website, jmohr.com.
Why wouldn't you do that?
All things flow through jmohr.com. You want to see a picture of Duff holding puppies? It'll be up at jmohr.com.
You'll get to Amazon eventually. Put the J Mohr on the top on the bookmarks bar.
Exactly. And then Amazon will be like, wow, a lot of people like this J Mohr podcast. And a lot of people are buying It's So Easy and Other Lies by Duff McKagen. And he is a good writer. I like your Seattle Weekly stuff. The first time you were here, I read like 6 of your articles from Seattle Weekly. I'm like, this guy's certainly no dummy. You are a good writer.
I just made that. That was my ghostwriter writing.
Your ghostwriters are good. You didn't let me finish. And your ghostwriter is an even better writer than you are.
Thank you.
But what I was going to ask you, and I am going to get to this, because also I mentioned the people's names, and they get a little heat amongst them friends in the podcast community. Like, hey, I heard your name on J Mohr's podcast.
Like who?
Well, for example, this is Pete Seraphin. Pete Seraphin went to jmohr.com, click the Amazon banner. You guys are going to like this, so don't fast forward, you creeps. Hello, fine. Hey, first of all, he starts at hello, fine sir. Already, this is something Perry would say. Hello, fine sir.
Yeah.
Except it would be in an echo. I'm sure you're all thrilled, and thank God for the echo. Hello, fine sir. Love the podcast. I listen to it every week on my travels. I am a Broadway prop master and spend ridiculous amounts of other people's money on Amazon. Forget about Sarah Brady. Sarah Brady is our leaderboard winner because she spent like $6,000 on TVs for her house through my Amazon link.
Okay.
So everyone's compared to Sarah Brady. You got to go Sarah Brady big. But check out my man, Peter Seraphin. Forget about Sarah Brady. On average, I spend around $250,000 a year on Amazon for props in various shows. Recently, I clicked through your website and bought some AK-47 replicas, rolling suitcases, and CO2 cartridges for the Book of Mormon and its national tours. For my current show, Big Fish, the list is too long for me to even write without giving me carpal tunnel syndrome. I'm starting a new show today, and damn, is it prop heavy. I look forward to helping you keep the dream alive, one prop at a time. Thanks for all the hours of content. I've become a podcast junkie, and you guys make my tri-state area antique barn and prop shopping trips more of a treat than they already are. Peter Seraphin. Peter, you know what, Sarah Brady? You're out.
That was a lot of information.
Yeah, but great information. If the guy's going to drop $250,000 and I'm going to get a kickback from this guy's $250,000 a year, I mean, I don't have to go to the Seattle University Business School to know that this guy is my new best friend. This is my Jerry Cantrell.
Go Redhawks.
Go Redhawks.
Yeah.
Peter Seraphin. I'm not reading another damn Amazon ad unless Duff requests it. But go to jmohr.com, click the Amazon banner. So you got to go Peter Seraphin big. And if you want to settle for Sarah Brady big, I guess that's cool too. But Peter Seraphin just set the bar real fucking high. That was cool.
Wow. Yeah.
A prop master going to antique shows and things of that nature.
I wonder how many times a day that guy, Peter Seraphin, how many times a day somebody goes, hey, props, dude. Big props.
I would guess at least once, just it's human
At
nature,
least.
just to say it. But
Yeah.
do people know he's a prop master when they say it, or it's just like he picks up somebody drops their newspaper at Starbucks, and then he's like, "Hey," and they go, "Hey, props, man."
No, that's only when he loses it later on in the day. Like he's just going to Starbucks and he does what you said. Like,
Yeah.
But all throughout the day, the guys who are like the stagehands and stuff, hey, props, big props.
What's up,
and then
props?
at the end, he's putting up with it because
I'll give you a little showbiz inside information.
Yeah.
When you say props in any production, TV, film, or stage, it's because you need that guy immediately. So if you do are backstage, or if you do go props, he has to come running to where you are to figure out what the fuck it is you need. Because if like you're on a sitcom or any movie, everything has to match. Like if you're like, for instance, your water isn't open yet.
Right.
So if we do,
Isn't that the best boy?
No, that's the prop master.
Oh.
If your water is unopened as it is right now when we're doing your coverage and your close up, and then when they turn the cameras around to shoot me and Matty Boy and then just me, but you drank half your water, somebody's going to go, "Hey assholes, it doesn't match." Props, and he's got to fly in with what they call the hero, which is the one they're using at that moment. Or if like right now there's like 2 inches down because you took a chug because I did the suggestion of water
you did,
and you couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Because you're the perfect person to be hypnotized, so it would have to match that level exactly.
Do you know how many people
somebody
have
says,
fast forwarded through this?
None.
None?
No, this is real. I don't think people know
gripping.
that. Anytime you say props on
Gripping.
a set,
What does a grip do?
I'm not sure to this day.
Key grip.
Key grip, I don't know. Matty Boy?
Lots of wire work from what I've seen. Lots of tape and lots of cords and lots of wires.
So anybody in Cirque du Soleil are really just grips.
They're just
lots
grips.
of wires.
No, but I think that
man on wire. He was a grip.
Yeah.
From the documentary.
All I know is they've always got buckles on their belt. They got a lot of shit. They've got like
they work hard.
Tool belts. Yeah,
they work harder than
hard.
any. All those guys, Duff, work so much harder than any crybaby actor or actress in the world. Like at lunch, you get to go take a nap. These guys are like, they go to camera truck for a half hour and play Halo. Like that's their release. And you're just in there complaining because like your nap is an hour and a half. You're like, when are they going to get to me? Meanwhile, they just work all day. Walking Papers, October 17th at the Roxy in L.A. I don't think you'll need help pushing tickets for that, but if we can help. And also Texas.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Breaking news.
Whoa. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. My daughter, Grace, she's 16. Her band, it's their first gig they're going to open for us.
What's the name of her band?
Pink Slips. Has nothing to do with walking. They don't even know what walking papers really means.
Just like the Europeans you established last time you were here.
Indeed.
The Europeans had no idea what that expression means.
Yeah. So
what does Grace play?
She sings.
Really?
Yeah, she's really talented. But
So
I've never pushed her. She like, your kids like with me. I don't want I have this fear of being a stage dad, so I never pushed guitar or anything. And they've been out on tour with Revolver. They've seen it all. They're not into it. And suddenly this last summer, Grace and her friend, they busted out with this Death Cab for Cutie cover, and it was amazing. Like it was dark. They did their own thing to it, and so Grace.
Which song was it? I only know one song. I will possess your heart.
No,
it's got like an 8-minute intro, which I love. But do you know the song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I love that song. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
but look,
okay.
the bottom line is Grace McKagen is going to be at the Roxy October 17th. And if you stick around, if you feel like it, Walking Papers. You see a guy from Screaming Trees. You see a guy from Missionary Position. You'll see a nice rock and roll band. Walking Papers, October 17th at the Roxy. Is that like? That's got to be like deja vu times a billion for you specifically, coming from the Sunset Strip when you came down from Seattle and playing Guns N' Roses and playing the Roxy.
Yeah.
As much as you guys did. And now you're back at it with Walking Papers.
Yeah, but I got a good recent memory of the Roxy, and I played there with Jane's a couple summers ago. We played. It was the first time they used the swinging, the girls on the hooks, and but that that's a low ceiling, and I'm 6'3", so this girl was swinging over my head, but not really over my head. I kept having
I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You kind of ducking out.
Yeah, because
but somehow Perry's like, sprinting from one end of the stage to the other and timing it perfectly.
He's a
It's
genius.
like George Washington on a horse not getting shot in the front lines of battle. Perry's just running. There's literally girls, Duff will just said it, but it needs to be reiterated. There are girls hanging from the ceiling with hooks in their skin flying back. Not like on a swing. They are the swing. Like meat hooks and their flesh.
Yeah,
like
that's
people
right.
that are into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's one way to dress the stage up. A prop master. Wear the chicks on hooks. That's what you need for your new show, Big Fish.
Props.
Yeah, you need me?
Yeah.
You need me?
Wow, that was quick.
I'm telling you, prop masters cannot fuck around.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets hot and heated. Matty boy, what is it?
Key Grip is in charge of camera equipment. So
I thought we moved on from that.
Well, how did you get that information? Where? I don't
He's
see
a
anything.
showbiz kid.
It just popped into my head.
He was in Codename Wolverine when he was 8 years old with Antonio Sabato Jr. He got pulled out of the ocean. Did you have any lines in that movie?
Yeah.
What were your lines?
I don't know.
All right.
I had enough that I can't remember.
Here's the thing about Walking Papers. It's just Walking Papers. My audience, huge in Texas, and I'm thrilled you're making a Texas swing. Sunday, October 20th, you guys are at Trees in Dallas, Texas. Whatever. My heart's pretty much in Houston. So Wednesday, October 23rd, Scout Bar in Houston. You guys got to go see Walking Papers. And if you're at the show and you happen to see Duff, just scream something stupid at him, like more stories, or love your podcast, Duff.
Do it. Yeah,
do it.
Yeah.
Just go to the shows.
I got a lot of people like writing me or coming up on the street, like, dude, I heard you on Mohr Stories. Awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Your
the
show's
best.
huge.
It's pretty good. Well, the fact that you're here again, so. You after being at the Roxy.
So I was going to say, I played
You were there
the
with
Roxy
James.
with James, and it was killer. I mean, I did have flashbacks going up to the dressing rooms, those little tiny dinky dressing rooms at the end of the hall, and then I played there like a couple months later with that Camp Freddy thing, which is Dave Navarro and Matt Sorum and. Do you know what the Camp Freddy thing is?
Yeah, it seems like everybody in every band I like is in it.
Yeah, and and whoever the guests are, the guests have been Ozzy and
It's really the Pussycat Dolls for guys with dicks.
except they don't dance.
They just maybe not on the outside.
Dancing on the inside always.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that. Sorry, Jay, I shouldn't doubt you. You have
No, I don't think you doubt me. You and I we speak in code. We're good, bro.
Yeah.
We have a Morse code set up.
Yeah. So the Roxy is. Oh, and I was going to say, Jane's on that tour that we just did. It was like 27 dates or something, and they are absolutely on top of their game.
Do you miss the big rooms? Like you were playing stadiums, or is it?
We were. I mean, Velvet Revolver. These same places. We were headlining a couple, 3-4 years ago. Or
Right.
something.
But I mean, do you miss them? Musically, ego-wise, I'm sure I would miss them if I was Duff McKagen from Guns N' Roses and Velvet Revolver. But I think a better question is, musically, as a guy playing bass and trying to fit into the schematic of 4 or 3 other guys,
Yeah.
is it way easier to play a room the size of the Roxy compared to like Madison Square Garden?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
No, if your band if there's a chemistry on stage, then it really doesn't matter. Sometimes playing a smaller room is cooler because you can actually see the people, and there's people swinging off the rafters, in a small club if it's packed. And sometimes playing a huge place, which is great, you can hear the roar of a crowd, but sometimes you can't see them, and that can be a little alienating. So both are good. But I don't know if you were asking if I missed it. I've had a lot of it. I've had a lot of both. And there's something about being in a band that's building and that you believe in that's completely exciting.
Do you ever say to yourself, Walking Papers 3 years from now, hopefully, well, you already said it earlier in the podcast, you can't wish for something down the line. You just got to live moment to moment to moment.
Yeah.
But you're also a grown-up with an id, an ego, and a super ego, and you do think about things as you drift off to sleep. Are there times when you just picture Walking Papers in, like, Sun Devil Stadium? Like, man, I can get this band huge, like my other 2 bands, my other 3 bands, my other 4 bands. You've been in a lot of bands.
I don't know if bands get big like that anymore, period, if we're going to talk about it. intellectually. I don't know if bands get that big anymore. There's Metallica who can still do stadiums, but they are from another, they're from the 80s, basically.
You're one phone call away from playing those big things.
But I'm not saying. Don't get me in trouble here.
No, I won't. But
yeah.
I mean, because we touched on it last time. Do you ever think to yourself, why not just get the guys I get along with and just get like Chris Cornell and just go out as Roses and Guns, Wink, and like everyone knows what's up, and you just play the whole catalog, and then you're in. Then it's giant payday, huge dough, huge merch, and then everybody's all excited. Do you ever think about that? I said that like we were about to fight. You ever think about that?
I think I probably, I'm not going to lie, I probably thought about everything. And as a matter of fact, like Chris Cornell, when Slash and I and Matt originally got back together in 2002 to start writing the songs that became Velvet Revolver, a singer, what are we going to do? And the first person you think of, rock and roll singer, is Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
But Audio Slave had just started. So that was like we were like 2 months too late or a month too late or something. So I have thought of Chris Cornell before, for sure.
Is there a guy, because his voice was so unique, Axl's, and I mean just complete compliment. Like his voice was, it's like there was nothing before it. There won't be a voice like it afterwards. Is there any, like Chris Cornell is the only guy that popped into my head that could take a whack at it at least and play from the first album.
Oh, you
all
mean
the way through.
Get Chris and play those songs, play the Guns
like
songs.
how the Black Crowes toured with Jimmy Page and they just do Led Zeppelin songs.
Yeah,
why not just hire like I don't know Mark Lanigan and just go out as Guns N' Roses?
Well, Mark's a baritone.
See, now you're breaking it down. That's what this is important stuff to us. I'm being serious.
Mark is. Pound for pound, one of the best singers on this planet, though, for sure.
And Josh Homme just hoards him. It's like the mafia, the Josh Homme mafia. He won't let Mark Lanigan go.
No, Mark's his solo career is actually taken off and sustaining him quite well.
Another guy from Screaming Trees. It seems like you guys, you really can't afford. You're a perfect example of this, where you came from all the way back to Seattle and the Farts, going all the way up to Walking Papers, October 17th at the Roxy, October 23rd, Scout Bar in Houston. You really just keep working with the same dozen people over 20 years. I mean, there are people that leave, and there's people that die, obviously, but there's also, it just seems like you and Perry, and then like Slash goes and plays over here, and then you guys hook up together, and then you and Matt Sorum, like it just keeps going. Like, so if you are a dick and somebody doesn't want to play with,
the dicks don't last.
They can't because I'm looking at everybody you ever played with, and it's like other people that have been on the podcast. Like Matt was just here a couple weeks ago, and like Josh Homme working with Mark Lanigan, and you're with a guy from Screaming Trees, and like it really is like.
I just played on Mark's newest record.
Did you really?
Yeah,
that's badass.
So did Barrett.
He's one of my all-time favorite singers ever.
Yeah,
Lanigan, and the fact that Homme got him to sing like 4 songs on a 15-track album and took him out on tour, like just hang out, we'll call you when we need you. Like I would never think Lanigan would sign up for that.
Were you did you go to the Troubadour show?
No.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I missed the best shows. So yeah, you really, I don't think people realize it's the same. It's in a good way, in a great way. The cream rises to the top. And right now, like whether it be Velvet Revolver, or when you're working with Loaded or Camp Freddy, or Queens of the Stone Age, or anybody that's coming in and out of these bands, it really is like the same 50 guys that just played their cards right just by acting like grown-ups from the root to the fruit. Is that safe to say?
I don't know about acting like grown-ups, but not being a dick.
That's what I just didn't want to say the same thing again.
Oh, yeah. I think that's like the mantra.
Just don't be a dick.
Be a dick as little as you can.
If you're going to be a dick, be a tiny dick.
Be a
like
small,
the
just to be the
little lady in your joke. If she, assuming she has a little person husband and his tiny little person
just
dick.
Be a little,
just a tip.
Just a tortoise.
Go on.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, you had it.
Did I tell you about the 9-year-old boy who came home early from school?
No.
One day. And what he didn't know is Dad had come home even earlier from work that day. So the little boy's walking down the hall. He's 9. And the parents' door's open in the hall. And he looks in and the dad's on top of Mom. Can I say this? And they're fucking.
Why do you keep asking if you can curse?
I'm not sure. Yeah. And they're fucking, and the boy kind of freezes, and the dad looks up and he says, "Son, go to your room. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'll tell you what this is all about." And now the son takes off. The dad's putting on his sweats. He's, what am I going to tell my son? I haven't had the birds and the bees talk with him, and now he's seen me with his mom, and holy shit, what am I going to do? So he goes down the hall, and the son's room, the door to the room is open. The dad looks in, and the son's on top of Grandma, fucking her. And the dad freezes. "What, son? This is wrong. Stop. This is..." And the son looks up and he goes, "Not too fun to watch your mom get fucked now, is it, Dad?" Badoosh.
No, there's no badoosh.
Have you heard that one before?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
Did you know this? When you say ba-dum-bump and when you say badoosh, you're letting the person know you think that joke sucks. Little comedy insight.
Oh.
Like if comics are hanging around and a guy says like a one-liner and somebody across the table goes, ba-dum-bump, you're basically going, that fucking sucked. So that's why I was like, no badoosh. That was a good joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No,
Well,
I stand by Duff's jokes. Just
Yeah,
the best. Jokes with Duff?
Yeah.
I think you have a second career.
No, I don't. That would
Yes,
just
you
be the
do.
2 jokes.
So just tell him over and over again. You don't think Christopher Cross just plays fucking sailing 50 times in a row?
Most of my jokes are like little kid jokes.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know the one. Because those are the ones running. As soon as you said 9-year-old, I had like 8 in the hopper. I'm like, no, I'm going to leave those.
Yeah.
Your kids ever walk in on you when you're with your wife? It's the worst thing in the world.
Okay. My kids aren't going to listen to this. All right. So, no, I don't know how to see. Okay. So there was something out.
You want me to go first?
Huh?
You want me to go first?
They haven't caught us in the act.
Right.
Oh, well. You're 16.
They haven't caught you. Oh, you're worrying about if
Go
they're going to
first.
listen to
Go ahead.
this.
Yeah.
You're worried about if Grace is listening to this podcast because her dad's on it.
She
You know
won't.
what? But what if her friends go, "Hey, I heard the Jay Mohr podcast. He pimped Pink Slip playing the Roxy."
He also said, "Nah."
Yeah.
Right.
When you're married and have kids, you don't stop having sex, but the way you used to do it, like there's no more fucking fish hooks. You're not spitting on each other and stuff, like
No.
grabbing each other by the throats. Like you can't choke each other out, really. And you have to have sex laying on your side with the kid when they're little because
when they're little.
they're
Yeah.
roaming. Little kids
Right,
are
no.
roaming, not like teenagers that are downstairs and you know where they are at all times because they're glued to their fucking World of Warcraft games.
Right.
I mean, like when they're 2 and 3 and they're constantly roaming, you can really only have sex laying on your side because any position, someone's asshole is facing the door. And you can't do that.
Wow.
To a child. Like some kid walks in and your whale eye is blinking at them. That's no good. So you lay on your side and it's got to be quick.
Yeah.
So like you don't even take your pajamas all the way off.
Not really.
You just pull them down just past your balls. And like
Yeah.
if you wear a cross, you used to take it off and put it on the nightstand with reverence. Now you just you only have like 18 seconds before some fucking 2-year-old walks in and ruins it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
why are you guys fighting? You
Yeah.
know, so you just kind of throw the cross over your shoulder, like he won't mind. Like we got work to do.
Right.
Let's get after it. So
Been there.
Yeah.
Been
So that's how it works. Or you got to make excuses because you always got to tell your kids you're wrestling, and then they always go, "Well, how come mommy always loses?" And then I go, "Mommy's not losing," and they go, "Well, she sure sounds like she's losing."
Yeah, I remember hearing my parents, and I thought my mom was good.
I used to hear my parents too.
And I
That
thought
is
my
the
mom was like my dad was beating up my mom. I did.
And you run in to save her.
Yeah, I pounded on the door.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. I was like in 2nd grade. Yeah.
Get off of her, you bully.
Yeah. But there was something out still from Mrs. McKagen and I.
Not everything was put away.
Right. There was
You were in your
something-
boner sweatpants.
This is like a couple hours later. Hadn't.
Couple hours later.
Yeah, there was
Why aren't you
something still.
sleeping?
No, there were not my cock wasn't out, but there was something.
There was a thing out. There was an item.
A toy.
Yeah.
out.
Like a Tonka truck.
It was kind of like a long, like a.
No, we got. All right, I'm
right.
totally with you now. Yeah.
And it was out, and it was, and one of my sweet little daughters a few years ago, and I'm on the phone in our bedroom, like on the landline. You can't get away very quick. And she starts. I look over, and she's, Dad, what's this? It's a smoothie mixer. So that's the only thing that came out of my head. Put it down, honey. Put it down. I'm fixing it.
Then you got to spend the whole summer making smoothies with a dildo. Just so your lie holds weight. You just put it in the blender and let it vibrate, and you mix up fruit.
Yeah. Babe, you got to put these away when you're done with them.
Yeah, you can't leave those laying around the house.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. That's so damn funny.
It's like, yeah.
Walking Papers, October 17th at the Roxy. Now, when you go, this is the thing that I think I would hate about being in a band, and one thing comics get a free pass on is sound check. That's got to, you've been in the business a long time. You're like, fuck, you know what it sounds like? Let's just play.
Well, the thing is, they always say at sound check, like you're playing some big place and it sounds really echoey, and God, it sounds awful. And then, the sound guy always says, well, it'll sound great. It'll sound completely different when the room's full.
Is that true?
Okay, why are we doing sound check then? If we're doing this, yeah. So
should they just call sound check one last rehearsal before we throw ourselves into the fire?
Yeah, with Walking Papers, we use sound checks, like, especially when you're on the road and you don't get to rehearse or test out a new riff that you've worked on in the bus. That's when we write all our songs, and that's what Revolver did. We would just use sound checks to rock. To work on new stuff.
It seems like sound checks would just suck balls. What time is a sound check? Usually?
That's the thing. They're like at 4:30.
Yeah. So you can't really go back and do anything, and then come back for like a 9 o'clock show.
So you're kind of unless your bus is out back and you got something to do. But yeah. So what do? You do sound check. That's going to last till 5:30, and. Okay, well, do I work out before this thing, or do I I got
doing wind sprints with Barrett between sound check
5
and
hours to kill between sound check and the gig? Yeah, what do you do? That's usually when I write my columns.
Are you still writing for Seattle Weekly?
No, 5 years ended 3 weeks ago.
So now that's no longer when you're writing your columns.
Yeah.
Who would you write for next?
A monthly thing for the paper for them.
Which paper?
For Seattle Weekly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, but you just said that ended.
Yeah, well, the weekly column.
Oh, so now they went from weekly to monthly.
Yeah.
That's weird to me. Like Seattle Weekly goes, yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll have the defining bassist of his generation monthly instead of weekly. We got a lot of horoscopes to get to, and the comic strips have just been off the charts hilarious. Sorry, Duff, we don't have space for you anymore.
Well, it wasn't really, with all those papers, they're kind of running out of dough, and so everybody's kind of taking different positions. There's talk to VH1. They want me to write for VH1.com, and there's a Loudwire site.
Yeah.
There's plenty of places I could write. I just had something that came out today in World War II magazine, which I'm actually kind of the most psyched about.
What did you write about?
It was a book review. I wrote, my book recommends, and the people have done it before. Their book recommends, like Vladimir Putin. Lemmy did one. He's a big-time World War II aficionado.
I think he was in it.
He could have been in it.
He was in one of those pillboxes in Normandy.
He's in a history aficionado, especially on World War II. And so I got this call from this editor, the New York editor, older fella. He's the editor for World War II magazine. And I
didn't even know there was a World War II magazine.
There's a magazine for everything. But it's so old school. Like, they kind of have a site, but it's not like where you can go read the magazine. They've kept it really cool. Like, you have to go buy the magazine.
So if I go to Malibu Newsstand, do you think they would have it there?
I know they have it. I saw at one of those bigger bookstores, I saw the World War II magazine.
And so which book did you review for World War II magazine?
I reviewed
You should have reviewed your own, just drawing a middle finger at the end of your column. Fuck you, we won.
Right. I should have done that.
Yeah. And then never get invited back.
Let's just get this right. I wrote it a while ago. Andrew Nagorski is this writer. He kind of took over where Stephen Ambrose left off. Stephen Ambrose, Band of Brothers, and Flyboys and all that. Stephen Ambrose passed away. And this guy, Andrew Nagorski, I just discovered him last year. He wrote a book called Hitlerland, about the American journalists in Germany from like 1921 until 1941 and what they were seeing, and really amazing research the guy did into the book. Then another book he wrote about, it's called The Greatest Battle, and it's the Germans trying to get to Moscow. And in
it was
detail,
a race.
Well, it was, it was a race, and there was a factoid in that book. There was a battle outside of Moscow. So the Russians and the Germans had both taken over Poland. They split it prior to Germany turning on Russia.
Right.
So they both had a ton of Polish guns. So there was this battle. They killed a lot of each other, the Russians and the Germans, and they fought it all with Polish guns. So when you dig now in the site where that battle was, it's all Polish guns and bones of Russians and Germans.
And you wrote about that book.
Yeah. I guess the Polish got their revenge, eventually there, right? I wrote about, what is the book? Huge, Rise and Fall of the Third Reich.
Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. You know what amazes me is that there were even American journalists in Nazi Germany at all. Like the fact that they were even allowed in, like because Hitler kind of had a bit of a clamp down on things. Like everybody wore the same uniform and had the same haircut. And it's like, the man from People magazine is here should we let him in? And like Hitler's just letting in journalists to what? Do interviews with him and his dog?
Well, in 1933 when he took over, he didn't go straight to being that.
Oh, I think he said all the way to 42.
To 41.
41, okay.
Right. And that's when we declared war. But the guy who wrote The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich was one of those journalists there from the 20s to 41. And about 38, they kicked him out. So he would just do his radio broadcast from Czechoslovakia or from not Czechoslovakia, to
Yugoslavia.
someplace they hadn't taken over yet.
Canada.
No, but not far.
Jamaica.
Like he was just up the road, really.
Just up the road, yeah.
Yeah, basically. Denmark or not Denmark. I don't know where the hell he was.
A fucking place. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're all right.
But I reviewed those 3 books and probably a couple others. But I was really honored that they let me be that guy.
And are you a voracious reader? Do you read a lot?
Yeah.
What's your favorite to read? What's your favorite fiction?
It really it changes. Like I'll go through polar exploration, let's say, and I'll read some great book on it, and it'll get me interested in that subject, and I'll read everything.
Polar exploration?
Yeah. I've done that, north and south.
Oh.
Mountain climbing.
Yeah.
Like all these.
But are you reading books about? Are you reading like Into Thin Air by Krakauer, or are you reading like how to like mountain climbing for dummies?
No, like Into Thin Air. That's a great example. That book got me into. What else is there? He mentioned this other stuff. I'll look at
Into
the back.
the Wild, and that leads you to Under the Banner of all. Then you got to read all of Krakauer.
I've read all. So I'll read everything by an author. Right?
Yeah,
Under the Banner.
I did that too when I read Seabiscuit, or excuse me, when I read Secretariat by Laura Hillenbrand.
Oh,
Seabiscuit.
She's awesome. So you read Unbroken,
and then. Yeah, Unbroken. I could not fucking believe what I was reading, like the triumph of the human spirit. I
might have wrote about Unbroken in this. In World War II
I don't even know how I would begin. I mean, literally, a guy is punching sharks in the face. Like, get the fuck off me! I've been adrift at sea at 180 days.
That's at page 4.
Yeah, and it just never slows down. It's incredible.
Yeah,
I love. You didn't ask me, but it's the conversation we're having.
Yeah,
I love presidential history. Like, I've just plowed through pretty much every president that's had a biography about him. Like, I really dig him. It's just so weird, like, how much garbage a guy has to go through when you're the president of the United States. Like when you're a kid, you're like, one day I'll be fucking president. You don't want to be the president. Like your schedule, like 9:15 to 9:20, you're going to meet a Girl Scout troop from Dearborn, Michigan. Yeah. And then 9:20 to 9:30, Henry Kissinger's niece has to come for a photo op for the Jewish League Union of Mount Laurel, New Jersey, Hilltoppers. And like your whole day is just fucking garbage.
Yeah.
And then people are like, why isn't he getting anything done? Like, well, I don't know, because I got to meet the fucking Yankees after they win the World Series. How about a little me time?
Yeah.
Where's my Lewinsky?
Yeah, right. Good point. I read that Truman book.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, that was good.
You know, it's that old expression, some people are born great, some people have achieved greatness, others have greatness thrust upon them. Truman's the perfect example of greatness thrust upon him. He didn't even know there was an atom bomb. He literally took office after FDR died, and they're like, look, we kind of should probably open the vault and show you something. It's like, this could kind of kill everyone. Just now that you know, you're in charge. Yeah. Just whatever you want to do with it's cool with us, bro.
We're not quite sure, but we think it'll... Yeah.
Our job is war, so we say use it. But I mean, you know, it's you're a tiny man from Independence, Missouri. I'm sure you'll make the right call. Use the fucking bomb. Don't fuck this. Don't fuck us on this. We're making a lot of money here. Yeah. Have you ever played on acid on stage back in the day?
You just went from 0 to something.
Hey, these are the ABCs of me, Duff.
All right.
Everybody's getting pregnant.
Have I played on acid? I'm sure I have. Yeah.
Is bass? I asked Steve Gorman this question of the Crows, and he said yes. And it's keeping time, not something you really want to be doing
on acid.
On acid, whereas like Perry, it's just assumed. And I would think frontman would be the best thing to do on acid because you can kind of paint your own mural as you go.
Yeah. Like hallucinogens aren't good if you're trying to play drums or play any kind of guitar, bass or six string.
What about?
I grew up in Seattle, and one of the things when I was a teenager and was mushrooms were this new thing, and we learned very young, like 13, like which ones were the Liberty Caps. Which ones got you sick and which ones got you high, right? And we would know where to pick these things. And
you picked your own mushrooms?
Yeah, indeed. On the way home from school.
Where is this Norman Rockwell painting?
Yeah.
Of just Duff and his friends picking their own mushrooms and then tripping balls.
And I was picking one day and kind of eating as I was picking. Then you get home and you clean them. You clean them. And then we took me and my buddy took our usual dose, kind of forgetting that we were picking and eating, and I had to go to band practice. So I was like 15. And
which band were you in?
It was just one of the many. I was in this band called Pop Defect, and it was
pre-farts.
No, well,
you weren't in farts at 13, so.
Well, so I was maybe I was like 15 when this happened.
All right.
It was this guy Tom Price, who went on to Cat Butt, and like he's a kind of famed Seattle guy.
He's a real punk.
Yeah,
stayed punk.
Yeah, U-Men. He was in a band called the U-Men.
Yeah.
You ever hear of them? Yeah. So I'm starting to play, and Mount St. Helens had just gone off like a year before, right?
Oh, I thought you meant as you were tripping.
No, a year before, and it blew again, right? So I'm playing, and all of a sudden, Mount St. Helens blew up in front of me as I was playing, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good. I'm too high. I realized I was getting too high. And guitar player, we were rehearsing at his parents' house. He took me up to his bedroom. He's like, man, it's going to be cool. Just lay in here. He turned off the lights. Worst thing ever. And I saw these trolls come out of my heart. And then I ran out of his house and went running, which speeded up the blood, which I got higher. And I ended up that night at an Iggy Pop show, and it saved me.
Rock and roll saves the world.
I just watched him, and a guy like took me. That's all I had was my ticket to Iggy Pop. I have to go to this, and a friend of mine like took me in, and he just said, just watch the stage, and I watched Iggy and so Iggy, you brought me out of a bad mushroom trip. He did, and I walked all the way home from downtown. like still too high.
It is amazing the weird things when you're tripping that if you just like, and it's something so random like, hey, we should call Phil. Phil will straighten this. Like just some guy named Phil that you'll just call and go to his house and he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? We just need to sit in your living room and everything be cool. Like we've worked out this plan.
Yeah.
It's just a weird, like Iggy Pop was your guy.
Yeah.
I love Matty Boy has very few experiences with psychedelics.
No, I've gotten that phone call from friends before. Please come over. We're too high, mushroom high. And you go over in the house.
You're the worst possible person to call.
The worst possible person to call.
Your mustache alone would freak me out. It would just caterpillar around your head in a circle like a fucking equator.
Well, I think I might have been like 13 at the time, so I didn't have it. But yeah, I've gotten that call, and it's definitely an interesting experience to walk into a house with 8 guys tripping on mushrooms, begging for your help, covered in blankets.
What do you do?
I just had them all sit down.
Fucked them.
I fucked them in their ass.
Wow. Wow.
No, you know what? No one was thinking about their hallucinogenic trips as soon as Matty entered them.
That's right.
Zingo.
Just slip right in.
Matty said, let me take a couple inches off your rain boots, boys. Took out his scalpel. That's what he calls it. That's what the kids call their dicks now, their scalpels. No, I'm totally making
I fell for it. What?
It's the weirdest things that when you're tripping completely set you off. But at least Duff, McKagen had a fucking volcano. Now you're sure it actually erupted.
Well,
it was on the news.
No. It just in my head. I picked up the last time it had erupted in real life, and suddenly in front of me in this practice room, it erupted again.
Oh, so it didn't it wasn't like an aftershock volcano.
No.
You just created it.
It erupted a third time. Yeah. It erupted twice for people who don't know. But it erupted a third time in this practice room. That's when I realized I was much too high.
By the way, the news, definitely the worst thing to watch when you're tripping.
And it's not even the
absolutely
news.
terrible.
It's not even the stories that freak you out. It's the anchor
the
man.
faces.
And the anchor women. You're like, look at this lady's fucking hair. Her name is Sasha Fu.
Yeah, it's bad.
I can't take Who's Trisha Toyota? Why is she reading me news?
Yeah.
It's me and this guy, Dave Picardi, in New Jersey, were on mushrooms, and we worked together at this restaurant, and he's like, would you like to take, he only called me John, would you like to take mushrooms, John? And I go, yeah, sure. And then we go to his house, and we're listening to music, and we're just listening, like, everything's going great, and we're just fucking, he put on, like, Bitches Brew, Miles Davis, and he goes, it's going to get claustrophobic, but let it, just go, just let it swirl, and you swirl with it. And I'm, like, totally down, and his fucking parents come home. Now, this guy's, like, 30, and I'm, like, 18. But he's like a grown guy hanging. So it's a weird relationship to begin with. No funny business. Nothing like how Matty and his friends got after it. But the whole thing becomes, how do we get from this bedroom past your parents out of? We just got to get out of this house because there's like an elderly couple. Right. You know, it was like a split level house, like all the houses in New Jersey. Like you go up a little flight of stairs, and there's like a kitchen and a little dining room, and then the bedrooms are up another flight of stairs. So you can't. There's no other way out. You got to go. It's a fire trap. You got to go through the kitchen where the old people are reading the newspapers. And he goes, "We just got to get past my parents, John. We'll be fine." He goes, "You go first, because if I go first, they'll talk to me. But if you go first, I'll have to follow you." And it made sense.
Yeah.
I get to the front door, and he's about 15 feet behind me, and I just hear, "Oh my God, look at this tomato. This is the most red tomato John. Look." And I just left his house, and like you said, I jogged home, and it was like 3 miles back to work. He was in Cedar Grove. I was in Verona, New Jersey. But like they had like a bowl of fruit and vegetables on their like little kitchen table, and he just saw a tomato. And that was his Mount St. Helens. Like he just fucking freaked.
And that was the end of your guys.
Oh no, we got after it. When I moved to Manhattan, we did.
But you guys didn't hook up later that afternoon.
Oh no, I refused. No. I had to jog home, and I had to jog past a reservoir in Cedar Grove, New Jersey, and I remember the whole jog going, "They fenced in water. There's a fence around water. Like everything was bad. It was horrible."
Now, people who have not. I don't recommend hallucinogens. I really don't.
Like I do. I think you should do it. I think you owe it to yourself. If you have, at least to find out if you have that kind of personality that can crack through to the other side.
Yeah, maybe to experiment. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you, but real quick, George Carlin said you can do it because it's a self-limiting drug. It doesn't need to be illegal because you can do acid, you can do mushrooms, you can do acid, you can do it 100 times, and on the 101st time, your brain goes, "Don't ever do this again," and you're just done.
Yeah,
you're done.
I was done at 15. That last mushroom trip with Mount St. Helens. That was it. I'd taken acid. I took acid in the 6th grade.
Acid's rough, man.
It's a different trip.
I would definitely recommend mushrooms to anybody that can find themselves
over acid.
Yeah, totally. Because you don't know what.
Amsterdam, Blue Hawaiians.
They still put strychnine in acid.
I had one in mine.
I don't know.
I had strychnine in my acid.
You feel that pull in your
I
stomach?
felt like I was getting stabbed in my stomach. Yeah. And the next morning I woke up. Well, I never really slept because every time I closed my eyes, I saw Joe Camel. You know that cartoon guy, Joe Camel from the Camel. That's all I saw, and I saw the pyramids. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Joe Camel, the pyramids, and Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon.
So you can get it. The Mount St. Helens erupting. You saw
I totally get it. I thought you meant it really erupted. No. I'm like, poor Duff. Yeah. The guy's tripping balls that would in a fucking volcano.
That would be, well, at least it would be something happening.
So you don't recommend it because you're a man of character, much more than I am. You're an author. You're a musician. You're a 2-time father of girls. You're a happily married man.
Yep.
You're playing, for crying out loud, Sunday, October 20th, you're at Trees in Dallas, Texas. Wednesday, October 23rd, Walking Papers with Duff McKagen at Scout Bar in Houston,
we will
my
also
favorite
be
city.
At the Palms in Vegas with Thousand Chains on the 26th.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was not listed under Walking Papers tickets. The Palms?
Yeah.
If I'm back from Hawaii, we might have to make a little roadie. Go hook up with Duff. Just a bunch of squares sitting backstage. Oh, I'll let you know. I'm not shy about that shit.
Yeah.
So you don't recommend it. That's what you're saying.
Now, why did I even say that? Because I just took too much at a young age, and it was scared to crap. Like, I had a bad trip on acid, and then a bad trip on mushrooms. And
but be honest, the ratio
of good trips to bad trips.
Let's just talk mushrooms and not acid.
It will self-regulate itself. You're right. Like I had taken enough by that point that I had those 2 bad trips, and that's
the good trip to bad trip ratio on mushrooms is probably 10-1. But I didn't pick them in a fucking field like I'm one of the Von Trapp singers and The Sound of Music. You're like out in the hills of Austria picking your own mushrooms.
Yeah, like I'd taken too much acid already. I'm done with that because it's mushroom thing. It's natural.
Downsizing.
It's natural.
Yeah, it grows from the earth.
Yeah. And it was a mellower thing, unless, of course, you take whatever
thousands.
5 pounds of fucking mushrooms.
Your tolerance for mushrooms goes up real quick.
Does
too.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah. We were drying them all around in the closets of my mom's house. Sorry, Mom.
What did your mom think they were? Mushrooms?
She didn't see them. They were just they were squirreled away. But you could dry them and then you could smoke them with weed or whatever, or just smoke them.
Blend them up. I used to have a friend that worked at Jamba Juice, and we'd
you could do that.
We'd go right in.
Just get a hummingbird with some caps.
Throw them in there. And I remember one time we had the great idea to watch Faces of Death.
Oh man!
On mushrooms.
Yeah.
And that was bad navigation.
River runs through it. That's a safe bet. Just 2 brothers that love each other, fucking knee deep in water fly fishing, man.
Not The Notebook.
No,
not The Notebook. No.
But you know what? I think nobody can top Iggy Pop live.
Yeah.
At the end of it, because it speaks to what we're all trying to do, and that try to sell the message that rock and roll does change the world, and it can save you. And in your case, think globally, act locally. You were having a bad go of it.
Yeah.
And then somebody went on stage and said, "I'm a real wild one."
Yeah.
And you were like, "He's so skinny and weird." And then everything else just melted away, and you just watched Iggy do his thing. Was it just Iggy or was it the Stooges?
No, it was that was it must have been 1980. So it was Brian James from the Damned was a guitar player.
Wow.
Ivan Krall was in the band. Who was playing drums?
You guys never have...
Was Clem Burke playing drums, perhaps, from Blondie? Perhaps.
Speaking of drummers, Matt Sorum said he beat out Martin Chambers from the Pretenders for the gig in Guns N' Roses because you guys didn't like Martin Chambers' drum kits. You thought they were ostentatious, and you were like, could you not have a giant Dayglow spider as your drum kit? And then he was like, it's sort of my thing, mate. People sort of know me from my drum kits. And you're like, all right, Matt Sorum, you have the job. True or false?
Well, That, I mean, I could see, yes. I mean, that's sort of Martin.
I mean, obviously Matt was the right guy for the job.
Matt was, we had tried out a ton of drummers, and Martin came in. It was like, wow, this is Martin Chambers from the Pretenders. I think I felt a little sheepish about the thing. Like, how do you tell Martin Chambers, dude, you're playing that wrong? You know?
Yeah.
We had like 30 songs to teach him because we were about to do the Illusions records.
Very different music too,
right? And that's 30
like
songs.
Cult to GNR it seems almost like a lateral move musically as far as the time and the changes and stuff. But like the Pretenders to Guns N' Roses just seems like a quantum leap,
right? And so I know I felt a little like, oh, you'd let something pass, like, all right, that was good. You're Martin Chambers. That was good enough. You're fucking Martin Chambers. Matt came in and he just nailed it. And I think it's probably simple things like, oh, Matt can keep up with me in Slash drinking, like goofy stuff like that. But Matt came in and really learned. He has a gift for learning stuff really fast and executing it really well.
You know what he said the highlight of his career was?
What?
He's watching football. He's not even a sports guy at all. He's watching Monday Night Football, and as they went to commercial, the bump music was "You Could Be Mine," and it was his drum intro for "You Could Be Mine" to a guy catching a touchdown pass, and he went, "Holy shit! Like I'm a part of something huge." Like I'm in Guns N' Roses, and they're playing my drum intro on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, there's nothing like hearing your song in sports.
Do you get paid for it when they play it?
It depends. If they play it as part of the broadcast, yes, of course. But if it's at the,
bumper music, you don't have to pay. Like it's 30 seconds or something.
Bumper music, if it's a broadcast, yeah, you'll get paid. But if they're playing at the stadium and it just happens to come over the broadcast, no.
When you're on stage, and this is what I wanted to ask you first. It's the only thing I really wrote down. And that's when you said the name of your book was It's So Easy and Other Lies. Go to Amazon and buy that book. And you know what? I don't care if you use my link. Just buy things that Duff does because he's just fucking cool. How hard is it like when you're in the middle of a gig with walking papers? Because you're presenting new music with new guys. Like you're the draw. I mean, you're going to deny that, I'm sure, because you're a kind guy and you're not a dick. But let's call a spade a shovel or whatever. Duff McKagen plays bass for walking papers.
I think initially that's probably gotten people in the door. Up in Seattle, all four guys are the draw. But initially, our first couple trips to Europe, yeah, that was probably the draw. But the band itself is a live, sort of breathing animal. Doesn't need me at this point. I'm just kind of happy to be playing in this band.
Oh, you're completely wrong.
Well, I mean...
And I say that with all reverence to the boys.
It doesn't need my name.
Yeah?
Yeah. Maybe
any
in
nights...
Texas. Maybe in Texas. But our record is out, and it's picking up some traction, and hopefully...
Are there ever nights when you're on stage and it's Walking Papers music, and you realize no one's really heard this before, and if they have heard it, they've only heard each track maybe 5 times, and you're used to going out, and they've heard it 105 times each track, and you go, you know what? If I just bust It's So Easy, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, like, it's over. Like, we got him. Do you ever? That's got to be hard not to just.
That doesn't. It doesn't cross my mind. But
It will now.
Yeah, yeah. Every time we play,
you'll be at the Roxy, go just in between songs. Do 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 do. Just see if you guys jump in.
More. Yeah, it'll cross my mind.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew I'm easy for like what
hypnosis.
Right?
Yeah, I mentioned your water, and you immediately opened it, and you drank like 40 ounces of water in front of me. It's crazy. So, but is it hard on stage presenting new music to people? Because it is an entirely new operation. I know it's 2012. You guys have been up and at it for a year. But when you go on stage, it's Walking Papers. Yeah. Each guy, and this is said obviously with respect, I wouldn't say anything creepy to you, but each guy someone sort of knows from somewhere else, like, oh, he's from Screaming Trees, and he's from Missionary Position, he's from Guns N' Roses, like, you know what I wish they would play? And it's like some screaming, I Nearly Lost You by Screaming Trees would be great right now, or My Michelle would be great right now. And you guys got to get that out of everyone's head like halfway through the first song. They have to forget where you came from, and right now in the present is Walking Papers. Is there any difficulty in doing that, or are Walking Papers so goddamn badass that, man...
You got to see the band, so I'll let you be the judge.
No, I'm asking you. What do you experience on stage? I will be the judge.
I'm a believer of Jeff Angel, and I've been a fan. He's the singer, the guitar player.
He's the big Seattle Missionary Position, and what was the band before Missionary Position?
Postpartum Depression.
Yeah.
So I've been a fan of his for 14 years, and he's kind of like that Iggy show I went where Iggy was so magnetic, that it pulled me out of a bad mushroom trip. Jeff does that, So we'll play on this Uproar Festival, play in front of 1,000 or 2,000 people who maybe half or more, 3/4, 8/10 haven't even heard of us. And that guy is so magnetic that by halfway through the first song, people are just, I see everybody, you can see him from the stage. You see everybody's face just turn, eyes are on this guy.
Is there a better feeling in show business than knowing, wow, it's working and it's working immediately?
Yeah.
Then it's obvious, up and running.
Yeah.
Duff, please come back a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth time.
Okay. And more jokes.
Oh, I love your jokes, and we'll stay away from the ones that we both want to tell. We'll tell those off mic. October 17th, go see Pink Slips at the Roxy in L.A. They are opening for a band, I guess they're called like Walking Papers or something, but Pink Slips, there's a 16-year-old lead singer named Grace who's an incredible talent. That's who I'm looking forward to seeing. Texas, come on, rally. Sunday, October 20th at Trees in Dallas, Texas. Wednesday, October 23rd. Now, look, Houston, I got your back. Look, I don't steer you guys wrong. You know it. It's Walking Papers, Wednesday, October 23rd at Scout Bar in Houston. My man, Duff, get out there, kick some ass, and keep doing your karate. I don't think people realize you're like a karate master. Black belt?
It's not karate.
What is it?
It's called Yukidakan. It's kickboxing.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there belts?
There's levels. They call it levels.
Well, there's levels to Super Mario Brothers too, but I could name it.
Yeah.
What are you?
I've been doing it for a long time.
That's said like a guy that's like a third-degree black belt. Jay, let's just say I've been doing it a long time. Are you like a black belt in this Shotokan? What is it called?
Are you black belt in Shotokan?
No, what was it called?
It's called Yukidakan.
Yukidakan.
Yeah. They're in Velvet Revolver. I went back to school. I'm like, okay, I guess this is where I'm supposed to be right now.
Did you go to Fame?
I went to Seattle U.
Seattle U.
The business school.
That's badass. Because you would have fit in at Fame. You sing, you play the drums, and the people don't know you're a drummer also. Yeah. You play the bass.
I should have went to Fame.
You and Coco and Leroy could have hung out.
Yeah, I don't know if they have a business school at Fame.
So you went to business school at Seattle?
Seattle U, yeah.
You never stop surprising people with your choices. I'm being serious.
Go Red Hawks.
Seattle University Red Hawks. Did you get your degree?
Yes.
Really? Mm-hmm. So is this a degree you want to use post rock and roll?
Well,
or
here
do
was
you use
the
it in
deal.
your everyday life when you're doing contracts and promotions and stuff like that?
That's it. And I didn't, even going to school, I didn't set forth going to school thinking I could use this stuff in my music career doing contracts later on. I woke up at 30, out of a stupor, and I'd made some money. I didn't know what a stock or a bond was. And what I found out going through school, I didn't know what risk meant. It was like, risk, fuck you. I came from the other side of the tracks, right? And so I went to school because I didn't trust anybody either. And I kind of just, put everything in a bank account and went to school to figure out investing just on a personal level. And what money was, how it works. Because you read all the stories about guys who end up made a bunch of money and they're 40 and they're broke.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be one of those guys.
Well, I don't think it's well, I don't, knock on wood, but How'd you like to be a stoner going to Seattle University and the guy in the desk next to you is fucking Duff from Velvet Revolver? Like, huh? You failed the class just because you can't look at the teacher. Your teacher could have her tits out, and you wouldn't pay attention to anything they were teaching you because Duff is next to you.
Yeah, it was a tough.
Because you look like a rock and roller. I mean, you're like you walk the walk, you talk the talk, but when you walk into a room, it's like there's really no other job for Duff on appearance. And by the way, the listeners need to know you're absolutely fucking shredded. Like, what are you doing? Diamond push-ups on the road in the tour bus? You got some incline?
Rip out.
No, but are you? Hey guys, come see me do live stand-up comedy. Houston, yes, I am back. I'm so excited. The J Mohr Sports crew and the podcast crew of Mohr Stories, we're all making the trip to Houston Improv, Houston, Texas, November 4th. That's a Monday. That's right, Monday. I'm going to do stand-up on a Monday. I don't give a shit. I don't need a weekend. I'll fill it on a Monday with your help. And also November 5th, Houston Improv. That's a Tuesday. Monday, November 4th, I'm at the Houston Improv. Tuesday, November 5th, I'm at the Houston Improv. Come see me also, if you wish, at the Brea Improv, November 22nd. I really hope to see you guys out there. Love meeting you guys, shaking your hands. I got a lot of new material, and as always, all my shows are meet and greets. Thanks. See you there.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man!
Duff McKagen back in the house. Second time on Mohr Stories. You're the first.
What gives?
Well, you're cool and you were fun and we had a great conversation and I had to like totally pick your brain about the punk scene in Seattle and all things Guns N' Roses and the destruction of all things that happened and all that and the rebuilding up to Walking Papers, which is up and running now and is a good thing and living.
Yes.
And then you and I were texting back and forth and it's like, well, now let's just come back and just talk and have a good time.
Yeah.
And only really comics ever come back 2, 3, 4 times because we break balls. And
I've got a couple jokes.
I would like to hear about it.
Yeah. Really?
Sure.
Right now?
No.
Okay.
I don't
Want to start? Not yet?
Duff's taking off his jacket.
There, I can. This,
Whatever you want to say.
what do you don't call it? You call him a small person, lady, right?
A midget.
Okay. Lady, she went to the doctor and she said, doctor, every time it rains, my pussy really hurts. Is that okay? I say pussy?
Yeah, of course.
And he goes, whoa, that's interesting. It's not raining right now. Is your pussy hurting? And she goes, no, but I thought maybe you could take a look and down there and see what's going on. He goes, okay, well, lift your little skirt and I'll have a look. And he gets down and he looks and he goes, yeah, I can't find anything wrong. Tell you what, why don't you come back when it rains next, if your pussy's hurting, and I'll clear it with the receptionist. You can just come straight back and we'll see what's going on. So lo and behold, a week later, it's pouring and her pussy's killing her, and she gets in her little car and drives down to the doctor's office, and the receptionist sees her and says, oh yeah, come straight back. And she goes back to the examining room. The doctor comes rushing in. He goes, okay, so doctor, it's pouring and my pussy's killing me. He goes, okay, well, take off she had a little jacket on, it's raining out. Yeah. Take off your jacket and lift up your skirt, and I'll see what's going on. And he looks down there, and oh yeah, he says, and he stands back up and he reaches over and he grabs a scalpel. And she goes, doctor, is this going to hurt? And he said, no, it shouldn't hurt at all. And he goes back down there for about 1 or 2 minutes. And he's doing something, and he comes back up, and she goes, doctor, it's amazing. My pussy doesn't hurt at all. What did you do? He goes, I just took a couple inches off the top of your boots. Her rain boots.
Yep. Walking Papers, October 17th at the Roxy. Duff McKagen. I like how you go, can I say little person, midget? And you're like, her fucking pussy hurts. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he used the scalpel to take her little boots and make them littler.
Yeah.
She wasn't a smart little person.
Well, she just put on her rain boots, wasn't thinking.
She wasn't thinking at all.
Yeah.
I like you telling jokes. This is good. This is the light-hearted Duff. We're used to, like, people go back. If you look at old Guns N' Roses stuff, you're sometimes you're a zombie out there, and other times you're, like, angry Duff. Other times you're...
That was 20 years ago.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when people have opinions about me. It's from 20 years ago, too. But I think
on this up in a football scenario, and, you just think of Perry's like this kind of fancy, he's Perry Farrell.
Like a sprite from the woods. He just comes down and has fancy tea.
Yeah, and he goes out and sings, and he's a monster on stage, and then he goes back to wherever he comes from.
Yeah.
But he's a regular guy, and Jerry was kind of, his mouth was a bit agape.
I like thinking of you and Jerry Cantrell in the back of a bus sharing that weird one bed in your little pajamas.
Yeah.
Seahawk pajamas, the two of you.
We didn't wear pajamas.
Kurt Warner, Ring of Honor. No Kurt Warner jerseys. The real Kurt Warner, not the quarterback.
Yeah.
Kurt with a C, the running back for the Seahawks. Ring of Honor, baby.
Yeah.
Kingdom. I know what's up.
You do.
Hell yeah.
You were in Seattle. I saw you were.
No, I was never in Seattle.
You weren't.
Never been in my life.
No. But weren't you over the summer? Didn't you go up there for something?
I drove. No, I was in Spokane.
Oh.
And I sold about 500 tickets in a 2,000-seat theater. And I said, well, I guess I'll never come here again. And the promoter goes, oh, no. But he said it to my face. So it was like, I was relieved. Like, it's just the guy was that honest. Like, oh, no, we just lost our shirts. Yeah, you won't be back.
Wow.
It made me happy. So then I went out there like, well, I'm never coming back here again. I had like a loosey-goosey set. So Walking Papers, you guys are out. And it's got to be weird for you to be at like Uproar and Walking Papers. Is it? You mentioned Deja Vu before we came on the mic. Are there just some cities where you're like, what is going on? I'm in this new band, Walking Papers debut. I'm pushing an album.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't probably where you envisioned yourself when you left GNR and Velvet Revolver. May I guess what you thought it would be? Duff McKagen, just singer-songwriter, acoustic guitar.
Is that what you thought?
No, I'm just trying to think of the most absurd place for you to be.
That would be absurd, yeah.
There's a few songs off Nebraska, everybody.
No, and this is, in all honesty, I learned somewhere back, even when I was playing in punk rock bands, like, don't ever assume where you're going to be or try to get someplace in your quote-unquote career. Just do the next thing that's coming to you, whether it's the next song or the next gig or whatever. And that's really... I must have learned it the hard way because it stuck. And even in between Guns Roar tour that we just did, and Alice in Chains was headlining, Jane's Addiction, your guys, bunch of bands were on the festival. Every day we were traveling together, but we had NFL football season for Sunday coming up, and every bus has DirecTV, and our bus has the package, NFL package. And Jerry Cantrell's bus, the guitar player from Alice in Chains, has a package. But my bus, nobody watches football at all.
Nobody from Walking Papers?
It's kind of un-American. But,
everybody from Screaming Trees are nerds. They're like, you got any 12-sided die I could roll?
And we're all Seattle guys. So you think, well, even if you're not a football...
12th man. Let's get after it. They can hear you hollering all the way from Austin, Texas.
Yeah. They're true artists. They're just artists. And no football. And I'm like, really? None?
No.
And but they were, I could have watched on my bus. They were behind me watching football.
Did you switch buses to watch?
So Cantrell's like, dude, why don't you just ride with me the night before, and we'll get coffee, and we'll be good. We'll wake up, and we'll make coffee, and 10 o'clock game, Seahawks. And so, okay, I did that, and so I rode overnight with Jerry, and it was like 9:45, and we were in... Where were we at?
West Coast.
It was the West Coast.
So the 10 a.m. start time, which is the godsend of living on the West Coast.
Wow, you put that all together.
Yeah,
we were on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And I remembered that Perry was an NFL zealot.
Perry is?
Big time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He will amaze you with stats and new rulings that... What was that thing? Some weird...
Joe Klecko had 21 sacks for the Jets, and he was second on his team to Mark Gastineau, who had 22 and a half.
He's a Jets He is a Jet.
He is. Of course he is.
Yeah.
That's why we're brothers, I guess.
So that's his team, and so I texted him or went and grabbed him from his bus, whatever, and I said, "You want to watch football with us?" So it was like, speaking of 20 years ago, where probably the three of us were 20 years ago.
Still awake at
Independent.
9:45.
Easily, yeah. And now we're all watching. And Jerry hadn't been around Perry